are now listening to Beast Mode Mindset with Chrissy Renee.
Hello, everyone, and I'm so glad to be back with you guys. It's another Wednesday. We're here at the end of the month. We're here at the end of April, and it's 9 o'clock, so you know what that means. It's Beast Mode Mindset time. It's let's get it, let's go mode. And so, you know, every time we come together, we're always bringing another person into the Beast Mode Mindset family. And, you know, we just kicking it back, chilling and talking. And, you know, we like to dig a little deep sometimes. But, hey, that's just what we do over here on Beast Mode. And so when it comes down to it, everything is always about your faith. What you're doing today, that's going to affect your tomorrow, how you look at your past, and how that also to provide knowledge in your current situations to just assist you where you're currently at and going forward. And so being young is hard when you got a lot of things on your mind and things coming up, and you have a lot of questions and things that you actually want to ask and inquire about when it comes to God, when it comes to Christ. And, you know, a lot of young individuals struggle with that. Am I called? Am I not? What's my purpose? What's my destiny? And so tonight, to kind of give us an insight by sharing their own personal story of how they accepted a calling at such a young age, and then also, too, to be at the place that this person is at the age that they're at is awesome and amazing as well. And, I mean, if it doesn't get any better, you know, he has a first lady by his side and a strong tribe behind him with his lovely kids. And so this is going to be pretty awesome. Beast Mode family, we just want to thank Dr. Byron Battle for being with us. He is going to be our guest tonight, and he is going to share with us. We're going to jump into that in just a second. He's going to share with us what happens when you're called. But, you know, before we get to the call part, we're going to dig with him a little bit and see what's up, because I heard some stuff about A&T, and I heard some stuff about being on the yard, and I heard some stuff about the band. And, you know, it wouldn't be a conversation if we ain't visit the college scene to see how that took place. And if I'm not mistaken, I know his significant other didn't even go to A&T. So how we cross all these paths and how we get to where we're at today. Dr. Byron Battle, are you here with us?
I'm here, present and accounted for.
Present and accounted for. This ain't cool. This ain't. Let's roll call and take names, but that's okay. I enjoyed the response. And so, yeah, as I said, I know you laughing over there because you know how it goes. And I'm sorry for having selfish moment or two. You know, Pastor Battle is Dr. Byron Battle is the senior pastor at Little Bethlehem Christian Church in Eden, North Carolina. 27288 is the zip code. However you want to find it, Google it, Facebook it. They're there and they're open, and a lot of different ministries, a lot of awesome people, and I can say 90% family, and 100% spiritual family for me. And so this is nothing new for us to sit back and chat it up and talk it out. I've been under his leadership for many different positions, and so it's really an honor to kind of I get to turn the tables a little bit and get to dig a little bit with you versus you digging with me. So with that being said, how you doing? How you feeling on this night?
I'm doing well. You know, Wednesdays are full days, but this has been probably the highlight of my day to come on here and just, as you say, chat it up with you, hang out a little bit. And I think Crystal doesn't realize that while she's digging into me, I'm going to be saying some things that dig into her, too. You know, that's how we roll, so.
You know how we roll. It's toe-to-toe, head-to-head, beast mode. I'm just saying, y'all, because from the time I first met Pastor Battle, it was like, hey, who you? That's exactly how it was. And it's like, oh, okay. Now we kind of like, you know, I see you. But it's all love and all great and fun and laugh, and so that's the beauty in it all. You take time out to
That's right.
other individuals where they're at, understand them, and provide a lot of insight And if you don't know, you like to connect people to other people that may have that answer for them. And so that's just one of the very things that just being a, before we even get to all the titles, that being a good Christian person does when it comes down to helping others and helping those. And so we're gonna dig into this how you was called, when you was called, where you was at, what happened, did you drop the mic and all of a sudden you like to drop mics and stuff and jump over pews and bridges, and that's okay though. But we know before we got there, there's a testimony, and so
Absolutely.
just share with us a little bit about, kind of take us from that middle school to high school range, like what was going on around that time. Because, and I'm saying it because these, there's that person that's listening right now that don't know your age, and so
right. Mm-hmm.
Middle school, high school, to some pastors might be about about a century ago. It might,
mm-hmm.
but
mm-hmm.
for this one, it's not, and you'll be surprised. And so that's why, I'm asking them, because you've done so many things. So, kind of take us from how was the home set up, or how did that play a part into into church and that dynamic with your mom and dad?
Well, I'll definitely lead off with that, because it's you raised an interesting point right there, dealing with mom and a dad who actually, I'm the first preacher in my family. Most of my family,
oh, wow.
believe it or not, yeah, I'm the first preacher in my family. You had a few who were educators. Both my parents were educators in it used to be called the Greensboro County School System, now it's Guilford County School System. And most of the people in my family, hard workers, middle class citizens, and a lot of them hail from Greenville, South Carolina. Shout out to Greenville. But I was born and raised in Greensboro, and what they used to call the old L. Richardson Hospital. Now it's Moses Cone, and they torn L. Richardson down. But I grew up right on 404 High Street, nestled between Bennett College and Wells Memorial Church of God in Christ, and grew up with a mother and a father. I was fortunate enough to have a mother and a father who cared enough about me to keep me in line and to really keep me interested. I really became interested in church, and I grew up right there beside A&T, the church called Bethel AME Church, African Methodist Episcopal Church. And, I just watched the things that were going on.
A&T?
Say that again?
You said right beside A&T?
Right beside North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. Aggie Pride.
I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on. We're gonna pause this interview for a second, because talking about them Aggies, when they come on here, they forget. Woo, they get real technical. That North Carolina Agriculture, and nobody took that away from y'all. But we know you talking about.
Say, and Technical State University. You gotta say it all, man. Say it all.
No, thank you. I prefer the letters of North Carolina Central University.
Yeah, okay, all right. Bless
but
your
you know what?
heart.
That's a whole nother conversation. Let me let you get
a
back.
whole nother conversation.
I felt that in my spirit. That
don't even assign that to the spirit. That was all your flesh. Don't even try it.
Well, they both together, so.
But honestly, Crystal, and I think really a lot of my foundation and just being deep rooted in religion and whatnot really came from two parents who I really knew loved the Lord, and took us to church, drug us to church, kept us in church and whatnot all day Sunday. I'm talking about from sun up to sundown. And as a result of that, I got that religious base in me. Now, if you start fast forwarding to middle and high school, I enjoyed myself, especially in high school. I went through that time of transition where I wasn't trying to. I knew I'd been called since I was 6. I used to go in the living room and put on my father's robes and stuff, choir robes, just jogging through jackets, and I would preach to my invisible congregation and had my communion set up and all that other stuff, just mocking what I saw in church. But somewhere between that age of 6 and then going on up through high school, it really caught a hold to me for real. And to be honest with you, I started running for a while. Because some of the things I was doing and some of the things I was involved in, some preachers will give you the testimony, oh, yeah, I came out my mother's womb with a Bible and a handbook. But when I got to high school, I kind of went through a transition where, I really didn't want to preach. I wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Oh, so you went left instead of right.
I went far to the left. far to the left.
Oh, I
Did
was
some
trying,
things.
I was trying to be modest, man. I was trying to be
Look,
modest.
no. Let me tell you one thing. One thing about my testimony.
Right.
I'm gonna tell on myself before anybody tell on me.
I know that's right. I believe that.
Yeah, but I mean, growing up on High Street, and then my father moved us to another side of Greensboro, and hanging out in those areas. And of course, I did things that young people do, and I did things that young adults do, and whatnot. And of course, I won't tell the totality of that, but the reality is, I always knew there was a call on my life, but I was really trying to run from it, because my thing was, now how in the world could I walk in this calling, doing the things that I was doing? So I just honestly felt like God was trying to pull me in a different direction. I didn't know that that's not what he was trying to do, because the call was still on me. And I didn't feel like I was qualified, to be honest with you. But then I recognized, and you've heard it said before, he don't call the qualified, he qualifies the call. Anybody that God ever used in Scripture always had a little idiosyncrasy, had an issue with them, had a problem or whatnot. And again, that doesn't substitute the fact, for trying to live right. But by the same token, the area I was going in, I wasn't trying. I mean, I hung out in the Dust Bowl, Smith Homes, Cumberland Courts. If you're from Greensburg, you know what kind of activity went on there. And I would still be in church every Sunday on the drum set, playing every Sunday, doing whatever I wanted to do during the week, and would still be on the drum set every Sunday. That was the rule in my house. That was the rule in my father's house, rather. No matter how late you stay out, when you come in, you're going to Sunday school and you're going to church. Now check this out. This really make you laugh. So I'm doing what I do on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Get up Sunday morning, go teach an adult Sunday school class. I'm 13, 14, 15, teaching an adult Sunday school class, and then get on the drums from there. All of this around middle school and high school, doing whatever I wanted to do. My life is not perfect. I ain't never claimed to be perfect. But at the end of the day, when God has a hand on your life, when he got a calling on your life, and you don't even have to be 100% sure what that is, somehow, some kind of way, that purpose is going to be fulfilled in your life. Because when you were created for destiny and for purpose. God didn't make you to just sit somewhere and be complacent and sit on what the old folk used to call your blessed assurance and not do anything. When God called you, he called you to do something, and he's going to equip you to do what it is that he's called you to do. I say this all the time. If you never lost, you would never appreciate what winning is really all about. Sometimes you got to lose in order to win. Sometimes you got to have a setback for a moment to realize you're being set up for greater things. And that's not church lingo. That's real life. That's beast mode right there.
That's beast mode. That's real life, and that is so fantastic. Sometimes you gotta lose to win. I'm just gonna be honest and put it out there, because that's not the Christian song that we play for praise and worship, but it's a very relevant and real song. And so It's funny that and Fantasia take you to church in the middle of a concert. I've seen some of her concerts and stuff. Wow, she that woman got a call on her life as well. She can't get a full song out with having a whole praise break. So, I appreciate Fantasia letting the Lord use her. You said something that was real key, and I think a lot of individuals can identify with the fact that, oh, okay, you can do what you want to, but let me tell you this: Sunday school starts at 9:00. You gotta be in the choir stand by 10:00. We got such this. You got a second service at 4, and then we got to go visit, and then we got to be back at the house at 8. So
that's right.
That culture, even though being in Greensboro, being from Eden or from other areas, it has that culture is there. Like, I'll give you enough room to pretty much hang yourself, and the hanging yourself comes in if you show up to Sunday school late and you ain't got no reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I was laughing at myself when you said that over there, because, I heard that too. I mean, like I said, we all, have done our due diligence when it comes to certain things. And so being at home, and mom's like, oh, okay, you can hang out, da-da-da-da-da. But I'm going to tell you this is what you got to do. So it's like the curfew was not without the curfew. So,
But you know what? Even going back to what you said about Fantasia and there are other R&B artists and whatnot, if you really look at their backgrounds, all of them came out of somebody's church. They were reared in church. They were raised in church. And so at some point, that church, that not necessarily church, but the religion, the spiritual basis, the stuff that they were raised up in, it's gonna kick in at some point. I don't care if it's doing a concert, if they're doing an interview with somebody, and they say, okay, y'all know what? I ain't new to this now. Because let me tell you something, I grew up in church. You know, I did this in church. I did that in church. When you have that foundation, when you got that religious base, you know, it's only so far you can go before you have to come back in and say, you know what, I remember how I was raised. I remember my foundation. And from that, you get your morals, you get your values. Don't mean you dot every I, cross every T. God knows, don't know how to do that. But the reality is that moral basis, what you're under, what you're over, what you're dealing with. I always tell people, and I tell pastors all the time, don't ever tell me who you are over until you can tell me who you can sit under. You know, you got to know how to be in authority, but you also got to know how to be under some authority too.
You got to be a good follower before you can be a good leader. That's
right. You got to be a good Indian before you can be a chief. And everybody, here's the revelation. Everybody ain't even designed to be a chief. Everybody's not designed to always be over something. But some people, I'm teaching a series in our WOW. We have 2 Bible studies to accommodate our members on Wednesdays. I'm teaching on spiritual gifts right now. And everybody, the dangers sometimes, not just in church, but even on secular jobs and other places, we're talking about understanding the calling. Most people, you know, they try to wear 3 or 4 or 5 different hats, which is fine. But you also got to know what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. If I get in my car when I leave and I drive in 2 lanes, guess what? I'm going to have a wreck. Or I'm going to get pulled over, one or the other. You got to also learn how to stay in your lane and do it and know, be secure about who you are and know what you're assigned to do, because all ministry ain't in the pulpit.
This is true. Quite much of ministry is not in the pulpit, and if everybody is looking to run to the pulpit, then you're not looking in the right direction or being led by God either.
What you're doing right now is ministry. What you hosting this radio program, you're reaching people I may not be able to reach. You're reaching people in other countries, in other states, in other nations that I may not be able to reach. This ministry is just as important as what I attempt to do on Sunday morning or twice on Wednesdays or throughout the week.
I was just about to say, you being real modest about the numbers, twice on Wednesday or once out the week. Okay, if anybody follow you and know, we talking about a whole 7-day shutdown, show up multiple times a day. It's okay though, because when it comes, and you know. So, but I mean, I appreciate you saying that. And we know we look at it as and I'm saying we, as in, you know, Beast Mode family, the team, we look at it as ministry as well. And, you know, that's why it's so important to highlight and talk about certain things. And so I'm glad you're on here tonight with Beast Mode. I mean, you know, we just add people to the family. But you were part of the family before there was even a show. And so, you know what I'm saying? We've been in Beast Mode for a while. I ain't gonna say
that's right. That's
right. For a while. And so that's just how the personalities are set up. And so, you gave us your middle school, high school, what you were doing. So pretty much, you was like how they say it. You was like turn up. But no.
Now, you know what's so crazy?
Jesus is in the room on Sunday. You know, you have to make sure he was in place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what's so interesting about that is I preached my initial sermon in March the 31st, 1998. I remember when he called me. I had just left a frat party. When he called me. And you know, I'm not going into the particulars of what went on at that party, but let's just say we wasn't listening to the Mississippi Mass, and we weren't having vacation Bible school. And so amazing, remarkable to me when I left that, and I went home. I went back to my apartment because I moved out when I was 18. I went to my apartment. And I went to sleep that night. The funny thing is, no matter what club I went to, no matter what I was doing, I would always ride home playing gospel music. And when I would get to my room, when I get to my apartment, I would always be blasting gospel music. That's that foundation I was telling you about. I'm serious. Yeah, you think that's crazy. I'm just leaving.
No, it's not. I'm laughing because I can identify with you, and I'm just saying, I mean, you did go to the T, but I was at NCCU, and so It really is funny because I know how we started our nights, but a lot of our nights as a group ended up with some Kurt Franklin, ended up with we have and we end up laying around just kicking it and chilling and end up having a whole little Bible study session after we went to the club, and then it's like, who's going to church tomorrow? It's like,
yeah.
We already had the rush. Now, come on, mama, see it. But the funny thing is, like, my little crew, our mama would call me, like, y'all listen, y'all going to church? And we were like, we didn't even went to sleep. Yes, ma'am, we going to church. And so that foundation is strong. And
That's right.
They don't even physically have to be there. It's like you
That's
get
right.
to do something and hear your mama, grandma, somebody pop up that put some of them words in your mind, and they pop up and they go, And you like, man, I've been grown for forever and paying bills, and I still got to hear your voice in my head. Like, you ain't even here, and I already know, but I
just leaving the party. Just leaving the party, but listening to Dr. Dre, and, back in the 90s, we talking about Dr. Dre and talking about Snoop Dogg and all that and whatnot.
Yeah, you talking about when rap was rap.
and then turn around, and I'm on my way home, and I put in I was raised on old school stuff. I put in the New Jersey Mass Choir, and I put on stuff like I put on James Cleveland God Is and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there crying all the way back to my apartment like a little baby, because I knew I had a calling on my life, but I also knew that it was getting tougher for me because it seemed like the more I tried to get back in the world, and more I tried to blend in, tried to fit in. That's a sermon all by itself, trying to fit in with people that I knew didn't care nothing about me, but I just wanted to hang out.
So I can't wait till you preach that one.
So I could be accepted.
Right. Right.
So I could be accepted. And the best thing that happens to me, Crystal, we don't realize sometimes being rejected by people, that really means acceptance by God and being protected by Him. You never know what kind of calling you got on your life until God starts subtracting where you think He should be adding to your life. And that was a painful experience for me because people, homies I knew in the world, some of them are no longer living now, died in that life. Now, I understand why God took me away from that, why He allowed people. I had to go kicking and screaming, but He took some people out of my life until I wised up and said, you know what, I'm going to have to embrace this calling on my life. And I hear a lot of people talk sometimes, I'm like, I found the Lord just in time. Scripturally, that's not correct because we didn't find Jesus because He wasn't the one that was lost. He found us.
Right. I was just about to say, He the one that found us. Like, hey, girl, you over there hiding behind that bush. Like, come on out. Like, I got you. We good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's, and a lot of times, when you talk, you have, and the main thing I kind of like that you do is that, you have to keep that sense of humor with it. And so, I'm, just the same way we talk, sometimes I feel, he be showing up and showing out, and I be like, okay, I ain't gonna say nothing else. You got it. You was right. Well, you was right. And you know what I'm saying? But that's how I talk, with God. That's our communication. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm. No, I got you.
But I'm just saying, like, I have to laugh it off and laugh to myself, like, ooh, God just showed out all on you, and you weren't even ready, and now you can't say nothing. So next time He say you're gonna do something, you gotta do it. So
and most of the time when He comes, when he calls us, He interrupts our plan. You think about it now. Half of us wouldn't even be in church today if what we had set up and what we had planned went the way we planned for it to go. But God called some stuff to break.
You're so right.
He called some people to leave. He called some stuff to really bring us to a place of humility where we could say, you know what, Lord, whatever you want to do. Because God knows how to humble you. He knows how to take you right off your high horse and put you on a donkey.
Yep, He do. And the sad part about it is, a quick way to test what you just said, to test that theory, is to go to different individuals and ask them what did they, from being a child to the age they are now, what is it they want to be or do in life, or what was their plan?
Right.
And you'll hear, oh, I wanted to go to college, oh, I wanted this, that, I wanted to get married, I wanted to have kids, I wanted da-da-da-da. Rarely do you hear the person that goes first, I just want a relationship with God.
Yep.
And He'll do the rest.
Yep.
And so that goes to prove that is so true. And it goes to show also, too, even when we're trying not to, we quickly get caught up in what we physically see and fleshly respond. And our spiritual response gets delayed because we don't take the time to allow God to minister to us to allow that to come out. And so we answer from a flesh standpoint most of the time, and then it's a spiritual standpoint that we get way later. And that's after the situation, after the process, after the trouble. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, I could have just, bypassed that. But then you didn't need to because you would have never learned the lesson. And the lesson is always necessary. Because it's tied to a blessing, and most people don't realize that, if I get through this lesson, I'll get my blessing and some more blessings, and somebody else going to be blessed because I was blessed, because we are all connected to each other. And so it's not even just about your blessings. Sometimes you just need to go through it so somebody else can get delivered from where they at, get their blessings, and then turn around and come back and come bless you more than what you thought you were going to get, from that situation. So, hey, you hitting it right there, the nail on the head on the nail, nail on the head. How do you say, I'm country, and so we say stuff so backwards, and people have been pointing that out to me here lately. Don't laugh at me past the battle, but it's when you have tired in your country and you say those backward stuff, it makes sense to me. It don't make sense to nobody else, but that's okay, and it makes sense to my
you just brought up something too that used the word called pride. And one thing I found out in that 20 some years of preaching, and I'm going into my 5th year pastoring the church where I am, and it doesn't even seem like it's been that long, but I found out that people, when you have pride and stuff like that, pride will keep you from God's best for your life, not because God can't do it, because we know He's sovereign. He can do anything He want to do, when He want to do it, and how He want to do it. But a lot of times we look for the devil for our hold up. Most of the time we are our own biggest hold up because of that demon called pride. Pride is what got Lucifer kicked out of heaven. Pride will keep you from saying, will keep you from acknowledging that you need help and won't ask for help. Pride will keep you from, pride will have you going down a hill and not asking anybody, I need some help. Because we all, to some degree, I think we all have pride because some of the experiences we've been through, and we may have reached out to ask people for help, and they said no, or, they weren't able to do it. And so a lot of times when people, how do you handle when you get rejected? When you get rejected, when you start dealing with things, and, you reach out there, you put your heart out there, and, only for it to get cut up in 2 or 3 pieces. What do you do when you've been in relationship after relationship after relationship, and after a while you're like, you know what, maybe it ain't them, maybe it's me. How do you deal with that? I know that ain't what we're talking about, but you just mentioned that word pride, and I want to say something about that.
Oh, that's okay though, because we gonna have you back, and we got plenty more topics. And here at Beast Mode, this is just what we do. We chat it up, and we come up with solutions. We come up with new seeds of thought, new ideas of how faith can be applied in different ways, and move forward. And so, even when you're talking about pride, it's still tied to faith, because you have to, when your pride is in place and it is in the way of everything else, you're also, too, lacking of your faith. And people be like, well, how is that possible? And it's like, I'm confident on this and this. Okay, no. Your confidence, your confidence is falsified too, because it's what you're telling yourself, and that's boosting up the pride part. And so, with that being said, faith will make you go ahead and do things without knowing what the end result's gonna be. But hey, I trust you, regardless.
That's right.
And so,
that's right.
Even though I asked this person 10 times before and they said no, my faith tells me when I ask this person this time, because God led me to ask them this time. Not some other times when I asked them just for my own personal whatever, but because God sent me to them this time, that on that 11th time they're going to say yes. Or they may not even say yes, because by the time I come to them and open their mouth, the way the situation is set up, and God works it out so funny sometimes, is before you get your mouth open, they're like, what can I do for you? Like, how can I help you? How can I assist you? And so that little bit of faith of just even I might go talk brought the rest of it to you, and now you're at a place where you can move forward, and so you start tearing down pride some, and your faith starts building up some. And see, the good thing about your faith, you can grow it bigger than you can grow your pride, and the bigger the faith is, and it stretches to so many different levels in your life. And it takes you to different levels in God and Christ, because it requires different levels of sacrifice, communication, and different things. And so, you preaching, you low-key preaching on here tonight. Y'all just ain't heard him, so y'all don't know how it goes. He real low-key preaching with a laugh or two in between. And so I'm over here like, where's my pen and paper? Let me take some notes. Like, this was good. I need him to do this sermon and a mini series on this and a mini series on that. And I need a panel discussion. And come on now. But pride is a big thing. It can be broken down into so many things. And so, pride definitely highlights our topic for tonight. With that being said, too, as well as what happens when you're called. Everybody deals with their calling, in a different way. And so we're going to jump into this in a little bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut. We're going to go to break. Y'all, on beast mode, we're always turning up. It's Wednesday at 9. It's the middle of the week. It took a lot for us to get here and a lot for us to be on the phone. And so, the main thing people have to understand is nobody else can stop you. You can stop you. Look in the mirror and tell yourself that, you can't stop me. And so we're going to go to break. We'll be right back after this. And don't worry, Dr. Battle, we're going to pick it back up, keep the conversation going, because I got to figure out how the calling happened. Then I might have some personal questions for myself, just saying. So,
all right.
We'll be right back after this.
Can't stop, won't stop. Where the bricks at? I give him that diddy bop. Like, take that, take that, take that, take that. I'ma put in work. I'ma do that ASAP. Throw my faith in rap. But it say, don't say that, huh? What I'ma turn down for? I feel like Shaq in 9-4. Breaking glass in that black boat. I like Kobe in Toronto, huh? Dropping 81. Yo, I dropped the 88. Ricky Bobby, shake and bake. Sleeping on it, should've stayed awake, huh? Everybody make mistakes like VJs. Trying to say my name, it's Minio. Say it with me, Minio. Okay, great. 2 forks high, raise the stakes. Risk it all, I take the hate. This the winning team, get the Gatorade. My guy good, but he's not safe, nah. They try to shut us down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I fear is God and he on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. Oh, that's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. I'm my biggest problem. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. You can't stop me. You're my biggest opponent. You know me, I know you, we know it. Whenever I fail, you always been there to simply remind me I've blown it. You don't see when I'm growing. You don't see where I'm going. You only see in the moment. You know my mistakes. You never let go it. Don't cease to amaze me, and it drive me crazy. Did you catch every detail that I missed in the songs I'm making? Saying you will never write a verse like Kendrick, never be the rapper I got from Hendrix. Top 10 alive, you will never be mentioned. Why aim so high, won't survive the trenches. Plus, you a Christian, Andy. They will never listen, Andy. Plus, we a pigment, Andy. You don't got skill, you a gimmick, Andy. Well, if I listen to you and everything you put in my ear, I'll be living like woulda, shoulda, coulda. I'll be paralyzed by fear. Ain't that the truth? If I quit, the only way I lose. I got 2 choices when I do this: make moves or make excuses. If you know who I'm talking about, then you got me. My biggest enemy is me, and even I can't stop me. They try to shut us down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I fear is God and he on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. That's all you got.
And so we're back. And like the song stated, I mean, you can't stop me. I mean, so whether you're addressing the people that are supposed to have your back and in your family and in your face, or whether you're addressing you. When you look in the mirror, you get up every morning, you're brushing your teeth. Don't just look, make sure you hit all your teeth. Well, make sure you brush all your teeth. But, you know, take a deep look at yourself as well. And remind yourself, like, you can't stop me. We are our biggest struggle. We are our biggest situation. And a lot of times people, they can say what they want, but it's what we do with what they say and how we take that in. And you have to be able to divide the negativity out, but also to change your perspective at how you're looking at what they're saying. Find another way. I mean, make it work for you. That's how life is set up. It's not so much of you have to be just like the next person or anybody else. Just be you. And when you look at it at the end of the day, as you're getting to know you, there are so many things about you that you have to offer. And so don't let your self get in the way. So be done with the physical self and let your mind go to different places and different levels. Let God lead you. Let God guide you. And you'll be okay. You will definitely be okay. So we are back from break, and we all pick up back where we left off. I finally found my paper, finally found my pen. So that means I ain't got to take notes on my phone while, Dr. Battle is up here low-key preaching and giving us, this extra advice. And so, how you like our song? I wonder.
That's an interesting song. That's interesting. I caught a little bit of it. I said, okay, all right. Beast mode.
Yes, honey. All right, okay.
Beast
All
mode.
right, okay. Beast mode. You already know. You already know.
Crystal, when we start talking about the call of God and whatnot, I think it's important for us to realize that when God calls you, he first calls you to preparation for anything. And, from my instance, of course, I deal with it from a spiritual aspect, from a pastoral ministry, so to speak, because I have the opportunity and the great challenge, to help people in cultivating their ministry and to get their calling. The calling doesn't come from me. Ultimately, it comes from God. But I have the responsibility to mature people in their calling and actually help them to understand what that role actually entails and the responsibilities that come along with it. Because, of course, we know much is given, much is required. But, there may be somebody listening on the call tonight that's, look, I'm not a preacher. I don't go to nobody's church right now, but I'm called to be an entrepreneur. I'm called to start my own business. I'm called to, just hit the grind and do what I do. I've been working for other people, but I'm ready for somebody to work for me. I'm called to, I feel like I'm called to something better than what I'm doing right now. And one of the things we have to realize is that if you have a burden, if you have a passion for something and you can't shake it, chances are you're called to whatever that area is. I'm going to say that again. If you got a burden for something and you can't shake it, if you got a passion for something, and you can't sleep at night, you think you're going to bed thinking about it, you waking up thinking about it, in the middle of the course of your day, doing your other daily activities, and you can't shake it, God is probably calling you to that. The thing you have to understand is the first thing he does is he calls you to preparation. If you're going to start a business, you don't just, I'm just going to get up and I'm gonna sell T-shirts and go get some T-shirts without having a plan, a strategy. You got to write your vision down. You got to make it plain. Where do I want to be year one? Where do I want to be year two? If God calling you preparation, He might also be calling you to get your credit straight, so that you can go to a bank and get the money that you need to do what you need to do.
Yes,
and again, you gotta have a name too. Your name gotta stand for integrity, because people will come and I'm talking about from the entrepreneur standpoint right now, because you have
right.
a lot of people that they are called to be entrepreneurs. They're not called to necessarily work a 9-to-5 job, or a 4 to 12 job, 8-hour, 9-hour grind or whatever. But by the same token, you got to work where you at so that you can build on something bigger. Even though Moses led the children of Israel to the, they got close to the land of milk and honey. Moses was never allowed to go over it. He could look over it, he could see it, but he wasn't able to lead them over. Sometimes you have to accept where you at, work where you at, so that you can build on something better. But you can't get frustrated in the process, because most people faint and give up in the process when they don't realize that when you have a picture and a promise, it's going to take a while for you to get to your promise. And when I say a while, I'm not talking in terms of, time and stuff like that, but because, a month, a year, 2 years could seem like an eternity for somebody who's been waiting, forever to try to get their promise fulfilled. But God can open up one door that'll compensate you for every door that's been shut in your face. Most times when we hear a no or something like that, we automatically, oh man, I ain't gonna be able to do this, such and such. No, it's been you look at all the entrepreneurs, people who started businesses and stuff like that, who were in beast mode. They got turned down 7-8 times, but they didn't let that deter them from what they were supposed to do. They stayed on the ground and they kept focused. And so a call may not necessarily always be to ministry. But, it can be to entrepreneurship. It can be to what we call in the church the ministry of helps. Encouraging, if you're on your job and somebody hadn't quit yet because they keep seeing a smile on your face and you're encouraging other people, that may be your ministry right there. Whatever you got a burden and a passion for. And if you have never thought about quitting and you're a part of something, chances are you're in the wrong thing anyway. Because all of us have wanted to quit. All of us have wanted to faint and give up. But I'm a preacher. I gotta raise the scripture. He gives power to the faint, and the devil that have no bite. He increases strength.
You better go ahead. Let him
Even the youth shall faint, and the young men shall literally fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. I gotta throw that scripture in there.
Yeah, I like how you threw that in there. It was like boom, boom, cat, right, left, boom. Just slid right on in there. But it was necessary, and I mean, that's just another example of when you are called and God has something that He needs to say through you. A lot of times it can't be, I don't want to say that right now. It's like, no, let me, I will go ahead, because God will give you the proper words and what to say at that point in time to whoever you're talking to and who you're addressing. So it's good that you highlight that, because and that was one of the main things, which you went ahead, you got me there, but it's one of the main things that, when you talk about calling. And so from a generic standpoint, a lot of times when people say, oh, this person's called, that person's called, they do, it is visualized, or the picture is somewhat painted as, oh, they're being called to minister or, be in the pulpit. But there's more work that has to be done, and that's why everybody's not called to the pulpit. It takes everybody. It takes the full body in order to get the job done. And so, I completely agree with you. Your calling could be in the form of business. It could be in the form of teaching. Like, you might not have that teaching. Somebody may not have that teaching degree, but you volunteer and help out. You volunteer and help out, and with other young students, you're helping them with homework, making that great turnaround and everything else. And it's just like, you do so well with it. Okay, like let me take a step back and say, is this a part of my calling? And if I'm able to teach in the real world, does this also to transition over to, as one of my spiritual gifts? And so in the church, if I'm able to teach to the masses and the diversity outside of the church, then when it comes to being in the church, maybe when my pastor asked me to help lead Sunday school, I should go ahead and do it because I already have the tools. We're already born with the tools and everything that we need for life and for our calling. They get accessed at different points.
You have to decide if you want to run after if you want to, when you're embracing your calling, you have to decide if you want to run after popularity or if you want to have to run out of purpose. You have to decide if you're going to run after popularity or if you're just going to run after your purpose, because purpose is greater than popularity. Now, sometimes your purpose, it will make you popular, but then other times it won't make you popular. Can you grind when you get up in the morning? Can you do your daily grind when when nobody's liking your comments on Facebook, when nobody's affirming what you're saying on Twitter, if nobody is following you, and if you don't have a cheering section or like what I call co-signers, people that no matter what you put up, yeah, that's right, such and such. When you don't have a cheering section, can you go after your purpose and stay true to your purpose and follow your calling and your purpose, or do you just want to be popular? Because some people want to be popular, but they switch purposes every month. They're doing something else. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do that. So they never stay true to what their calling is because they figure that's not going to get them a lot of popularity. But, at the end of the day, you have to make a decision. Do I want to run after my purpose or do I want to be popular? And sometimes you can't have both. And sometimes it will make you popular. It just depends on what you want.
It depends on what you want, but also, too, what God wants. And so he may deal with you in private, however you're doing some things in private. There's still some lessons that you may need to learn or do before he's able to take you public. Because when you're public and you're there, you're out there, you're on the chopping block. Let's just be honest.
You ain't never lied.
So, and you don't have, the way it's like a 3D figure, and so you're completely surrounded and sometimes immersed in stuff, and you still got to be the light that you was in the darkness while you was hidden, and you're still trying to light up even more, and so you definitely knocking it out, Dr. Byron.
I wanna, if you get a chance, and I'm an avid reader. I love, at days now when we do Kindle and everything, Amazon, you can download stuff on iPads.
Yeah,
I'm still ordering books and stuff like that. But Os Guinness, Os and then Guinness, Guinnes. He has a book that I have in my office. It's entitled The Call. And it's funny that I had this book in my office, and that's what we're talking about tonight. But I want to quote something that he says out of his book. Dr. Os Guinness, his book is called The Call. That's it, The Call. He says, primary call, he says, while we can find a key in calling our own life, it is vital to remember that the greatest call is to know Jesus himself, that he will validate your call and share with you your purpose if you have an ear to hear, end quote. And basically, this is what I get out of that. The first call that God calls us to is to a relationship with him. You cannot walk in your calling, whether it's in a pulpit, whether it's being an entrepreneur, whether it's washing cars, whether it's selling shirts, whether it's selling Mary Kay, whether it's whatever, going back to school to get another degree, whatever it is, you cannot make it successfully without, and again, this is the preacher part in me. It's just in me, without having a relationship with Jesus. You can't do it. It's impossible. At the end of the day, some people say, well, I don't go to church every Sunday, and, I'm doing all right. You have to understand, first of all, the church is in you. The church is not 4 walls. The church is not 6 walls. The church ain't 9 pews and a choir stand. The church is on the inside of you. You can have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Am I allowed to say that on this show? Can I say that?
Oh yeah, it's you all good. You at home.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure. I've been on some radio shows. They say, you can't say that name. Whatever. I said, okay. Well, God bless y'all. You don't want me.
No, you are all good to go. Nothing but spiritual guidance over here.
A lot of people equate their spirituality partiality by how much they go to church, and that's not correct because people can go to church. You can go to church and not be spiritual. You know, you can go to, you know, I've had people, you know, and again, I've had people over the course of the last few years, you know, because, you know, the church has gotten a bad rap, and rightfully so, because, you know, we've had some people in the kingdom who were generals that did not live a life of integrity and did not do what they were supposed to do. But, you know, and then I run into people say, you know, that's why I don't go to church, because I got hurt, such and such. And here's my response to that. Number one, twofold. Number one, and nobody been more hurt than Jesus Christ, and he still show up every Sunday. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I went to Olive Garden. I had a bad experience eating at Olive Garden. I won't say which one, but I had a very bad experience there one time. But doesn't mean one bad experience from eating at Olive Garden didn't stop me from eating out. You know, it's not the fact that something happened to you. It's what you do to process that pain. You know, all of us have been let down. All of us, you know, have had bad experiences here, there, school, work, church, everywhere. But at the same token, again, your calling and your purpose is greater than any hurt that you have ever or will ever experience. If you stay true to what your burden is with people, what is your calling? How do you identify your calling? Whatever your burden for people is, generally that's the area you call to. Some people are called, like I said again, to be encouragers. Some people are called to sing. That's not my area. Some people are called to minister, not necessarily from preaching, but I mean just to, you know, here again, I'm going right back to beast mode. Crystal, what you have started is so powerful because, again, you are reaching people that the church may not be able to reach. You're reaching an age and a generation of people that say, you know what, I may not go to church, but I'm going to log on this show for a little while to see what this girl's talking about. That's a ministry all by itself. And what we have to get to the place is where we stop thinking that ministry has to come in one form and one different way. We miss out on a whole new group because we think it has to be done this way all the time.
I mean, I completely agree with you, and thank you for that compliment. Definitely, this is a ministry itself, and but it's at a different time. It's not Sunday. It's not Sunday ministry and ministering in a church. This is Wednesday radio show ministering, but we're doing it in different ways, and this is why we love these type of conversations, because it brings to light that there's more than one way to actually accept your call and walk in your purpose and towards your destiny without it being what's always in front of you. And so,
that's right.
I always share with the Beast Mode Mindset family that this opportunity is not part of my background. It was an opportunity from another opportunity where God was working with me on some other things and getting me closure on one situation. So this is where that came from. But I find it necessary, and now I'm Beast Mode. You guys know your family, and everybody, and even with the guests, that everybody's rocking it out with me. And as of right now, health-wise, there's been some things going on. And hey, this is my process. And I told you guys I will share, and I will update. And so I'll give you that update in just a moment. But we're about to close out with Dr. Battle first, and Dr. Battle, this is what I want you in about 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell a person what would you leave with an individual that is struggling with hey, I know I'm called, but what's next? And then if you could just tell us how we can reach you.
Okay. The first thing I would say to you in 15 seconds, two of them are already gone. But what I would say in that short time frame is this: whatever you have a burden for, whatever you have a passion for, that is going to uplift the community. To lift the community, it doesn't even necessarily have to be the church, but it could be just the community. If you have a burden for it, actively pursue that thing. Seek wise counsel from somebody that you trust, that is going to advise you in the right direction, because you cannot share your dream with everybody. Joseph shared his dream, and he took some years off of his trip to the palace because he told the wrong people, and that just happened to be some people who were related to him. So you get the revelation on that later. But you can't tell everybody your dream. You have to be careful with that. So pray about your dream, seek wise counsel on your burden to really help people, and or to really grow the community, or to do whatever it is that you feel like the Lord has given you. Once you have done that, don't let anybody talk you out of it. Stay focused. Write down a plan. Get your iPad, get your pencil and paper, whatever you got. Write down a strategic plan, because if you fail to plan, you already know you're gonna plan to fail. Organize it. Get that thing right. Show it again to somebody that you trust, and then from that point, ultimately, if God gave it to you, He's gonna provide the provision that you need.
That's completely awesome. And so, right quick, what's the best way to reach you or your church family?
All right. We pastor the Little Bethlehem Christian Church of Eden, North Carolina, where our very fine host grew up. And she's correct. She has a lot of people that care about her over there and whatnot. And so you can certainly reach us at, matter of fact, I'll give you my personal email address, which is pastor, BLB, boy, Larry Boy, at hotmail.com. That's pastor, boy, Larry Boy, at hotmail.com. You can also call 336-623-3905. And again, if I said that too fast, you can get in touch with Crystal. She knows how to get in touch with me. But we'd love to have you. Wow, Word on Wednesdays, 1 hour, 12 noon, and then at 6:30. Also our Sunday morning worship, 11 a.m. sharp. 11 to whatever time we get out. You can also find us on Facebook as well, Little Bethlehem Christian Church. I'm on Facebook as well. I just deleted some people I don't know, so I got room to accept some friend requests. And then we got a fan page, too. Just go up under Little Bethlehem, and it'll be right there for you. Crystal, thank you again so much. I'm honored to spend this time with you all, and thanks for allowing me to be on your show tonight. I hope I said something that blessed those who were listening tonight.
I know you said something that blessed those who listening, and the thing we always say here, Beast Mode, if I could only just reach one. And so I know you reached me tonight in some places, just reminding me of some things that I really did need to know. And so if anybody's interested in wanting Little Bethlehem information, a lot of it gets shared and tagged to my personal page of Chrissy Renee, but I will also tag it to my Mad Broadcasting page and list that as well, and you guys will be able to access that information to be able to reach out to him, his wife, and their family, and the church family as a whole. Just to update right quick, you guys, everything is everything. That's all I can say. Chemo is a beast, but I am the bigger beast, and so we rocking this till the wheels fall off, and I'm here. So just wanted to give you that update to you guys. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it actually is a lot considering how I feel right now. And so thank you once again, Dr. Battle. Major thanks to...
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Major thanks to the network and to Ruck Life Network, and also to SIBN under Dr. Allen. So we appreciate everyone. And you guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next Wednesday at 9. And as always, let's get it. Let's go beast mode. You guys have a great night.